Okay, YouTube peeps. So we are back in Kansas at our new homestead here in the garage. And last time I did the video on the Cricket when I was in town, this car was locked and the keys were somewhere else. I couldn't get into it. But this is Cricket number 1. This is my original Cricket that I've had since I was basically 5 years old. And so the story on this car, do the walk around while I tell you. So the story on this car is my father had a 65 Chevelle SS Malibu 396, no, not 396, 327, 4-barrel, Muncie M21, slotted mags, red paint. It was his first, well, second car. His first car was a 55 Chevy that he wrecked before he even got his driver's license. So he had this Chevelle, and one night he wrecked it, racing down some country road. He rolled it twice, took out 200 feet of country fence, so the car was totaled. Now he had the thing sitting at his, I had it sit at the tow yard, you know, the family tow yard. And one of the other guys there working in the shop got this Cricket. So the guy had this Cricket. It had a fresh Earlshire paint job on it. It had fresh Tijuana upholstery, you know, the dashboard, you know, all the cracks have been covered up with upholstery and carpeting and such. The car also had a melted piston. So Dad traded him. I mean, the Chevelle was worn out. It was using oil. It was jumping out of gear. It really wasn't worth messing with. Plus, you know, the body was shot because it had been roped. So Dad traded him for this Cricket. He ordered up a set of rod bearings and a piston, and he could only get half the rod bearings. So he basically just stuck them on the upper half, and then he replaced the lower half when he got the other half in. And he drove it for years. I mean, years and years. And it was great. So, you know, when he got it, I remember writing my name in the dust on the side of the Chevelle when I was 4.5 or 5. So he got this car and he says, "Mikey, this is your car. Now I'm going to drive it until you get your driver's license, but it's your car. You need to take care of it. You need to fix it when it breaks down." Okay, Dad. So I had a car when I was 5 years old. So back in, I remember in 87, I put an alternator on it and I cut the crap out of my arm on something. I don't remember, but I remember kind of driving it when I was 12. I almost hit a gas pump. There was just things on this car that were completely worn out. The struts were, I mean, the car had 150,000 on it when he got it, and he put another, you know, 200,000 on it or something. Anytime they come across another car, he would grab parts off of it or grab it for parts. Over the years, they towed in 2 more wrecked Crickets, and so he had those 2 cars sitting there for parts until my uncle cut them up and disposed of them. So, like the struts were history. He packed them full of grease, and that didn't work. So he, let me grab the hood release here. Oh, it's up front. I'll show you what he did here. Hold on. So what he had done is he took some, I think they were F-body GM shocks. He drilled a hole in the lower control arm. Now I'm not going to get down on my knees and get a picture of it. Sorry, guys. Drilled a hole in the lower control arm, bolted the shock to it, and he drilled holes in the upper fender here and bolted it to here, which of course, you know, this is not, it's pretty decent metal, but it's not made for that. So it ripped this all out, cracked it all out. If you look at the underside of this, you'll just see it looks like a star. And then he took, you'll see these holes here. He took this angle iron and bolted it there and bolted the shock to that. And so that's how it was when I got it. So when I got it, I took it to auto shop. I welded in these plates. I didn't know what I was doing. This is the first thing I'd ever welded in my life. It kind of looks like it. But anyway, did that. Found some new shocks, and I ran it like that for a few years until I actually found out that Volkswagen Rabbit strut inserts would almost fit the tubes. You just had to put something in the bottom of them. This is a Datsun B210 A14 engine. So 1400cc pushrod engine, same engine they use in forklifts. It's a bit underpowered, but it's got more power than the factory engine had. It runs good. I put air conditioning in it. The hydraulic clutch, I had to use a Honda Prelude hydraulic clutch. That's a motorcycle reservoir that I made work. The one I had in there actually finally rotted out, so I had to do that before I made this trip. This is the original electric blue paint. Right there. And I think in some spots, I don't know where, I could show you the Earl Shine paint, but I don't know. And then this is a factory color. This is Oasis Green, number 143. This is number 145. I like the green, so I painted it the green. I put the tiger stripes on it. Look like the Avenger tiger. Let's see, if you look really close here, you'll see I was going to paint it orange. So that's where that came from. This green here started out about the same shade as this, but it faded and turned kind of blue. Then I painted it hunter green, which is that little spot right there. And it looked pretty good. And I had these same stripes on it, but they were yellow. I didn't like it as soon as I did it because it looked like a John Deere. And I blacked it out. I think the legitimate Tigers, the whole hood is blacked out, but I didn't like the look of that compared to having just this section. This hood is junk. That hood was on it, but I didn't like running it with the scoop, and I didn't have a hood latch. I just had the 2 pins. This hood came off of a junk car I bought, and it looked like kids have been jumping up and down. So it's real wavy. It's got hail dents in it. The inner structure is pretty damaged. You can see it doesn't even sit up against the hood skin anymore. It's buckled in some places. Whatever. I painted it with rattle cans, and I used different shades, just kind of dusted over it to make it kind of match this. And the same thing with the black. I painted it thin, and then I went over it with white Scotch-Brite until it wore through the paint, just to make it look old like the rest of it. It's all rattle cans, so it's not professional by any means. These are Pinto wheels. So these would be like 74 on Pinto Mustang 2 wheels. These are super rare. These are like 72, 73 Pinto wheels made by Fenton. And they're really weird. You see how thick this bead is? On the back side, it's paper thin. But you notice also the back spacing on the, is a lot less than those. Those look better. These work better with the steering. And that's just how I got them. They were pretty cheap. They look good, whatever. I used to have some mag wheels on it that came on that car when I bought it, or came with that car, but they leaked. One of them would leak down over a month, and the other ones all leaked less than that. I think the fourth one didn't leak at all, but it was just soaking through the aluminum. And they used that mag nut thing that I showed you in the roach stain video, and they wouldn't stay centered. So this dashboard, I had a Yugo dashboard in this thing for years. I think it might be in that car, which I will show you. So I took one of my other dashboards and I bondoed up all the foam, peeled off all the broken vinyl, bondoed up the foam, fiberglassed the foam, made it into a plug. Then I made a mold off of this. So these are Yugo vents, because I had a bunch of them. If I had to do over again though, I would have found round ones to fit in this corner, kind of like the tack. So this is the tack. I used a spray paint can top to make all these buckets. I used foam, just, fiberglassing foam, glued it on there and then shaved it down. I've already got the Avenger badge on it, which frankly needs to come back off and go on the car in the driveway. Anyway, I don't care, I'll leave it there. So yeah, we made a dashboard out of fiberglass. The texture didn't come out the way I expected it to. I'm probably gonna sand it smooth. This I fixed before we left. Sanded it, painted it. I had to trim some of the edge off of it to fit in there, but it works. This is the AC thermostat. I think there's a switch. I don't know. Maybe it's just wired. That's the AC fan. So yeah, when it comes on, it turns on, it stays on, unless it gets too cold and it turns off. It's got an automatic thing there. This original radio doesn't work. It did draw current when you turned it on. So what I did, I put one of those Bluetooth receivers in it. Oh, it's screwed down. Okay. So it's up inside there and it's zip tied to something, but I ran the power through this and I went inside of it, cut the wire off, and ran it to the Bluetooth thing. So you can actually turn the Bluetooth on through the switch. I don't think there's a battery in this car. And honestly, I'm not going to get involved with it that much, so I'm not going to put a battery in to start it. Why is that not working? Oh, hold on. Yeah, there's no battery in it, or it's stone cold dead. I think there's no battery in it, though. Anyway, so this is all spray paint. This is roughly the color. That's actually the color up there, and it's been painted to kind of blend the color out because it was a little different up top where the sun had darkened it. These are all out of that 72 that I stripped in Kansas back in 2001. House carpet, I just stuck it down there for sound deadening. You know, it's all gonna go in the trash anyway because the floors. This side of the floor I've fixed. That side is rotten. I just got that thin galvanized tin down on the floor. This one's supposed to have the dimming, dimmer light for the gauges, but it went bad, so this is the one I had for replacement. Cheap speakers, those things actually sound great though. I threw a CB in it for the trip. This gauge cluster, the lenses always rot out and go, and that was one of the first things I fixed in this car back in like 95, and it's turned yellow, so I need to replace it. For many years I didn't have this oil pressure gauge set up because I didn't have all the little fittings to make it work. Plus the clusters are so brittle, when you tighten it up it'll usually just break that whole end of the cluster off. But I was able to find everything and get it put together carefully, and it doesn't leak. So now I have a working oil pressure gauge. Ooh. I did set the mileage to 0 back when I did the Datsun swap, my restoration. And so now I'm at 103,000 miles since I did that. And that was in late 97. This headliner came out of the other parts car. These are Datsun B210 seatbelts because they're got a retractor there and got one down there, and that's it. Simple, they work. This big thing, that was kind of ugly. Junkyard rear seat. More parts than that. That is a DFV Weber carburetor. Auto lights off of a Ford. Where did you come from? I know where you came from. I bought you at Jim Scribner's when I brought this car back out there. I gave him $10 for it, just to have it, because you can never have too many Webers. Hey, remember all the problems with the Toyota? Okay. Put the spring back on so I don't lose it. Give me a minute here. There. Okay. Kenwood tweeters, those things work good. They've been on there forever. My brother bought me that back in like 96 for my birthday. Way to go, Anthony. This is my heater control for heat, because none of these work. They always break. They're all broken on every damn one of them. Okay, oh, cruise control. That came out of a junk motorhome that I bought to pull all the parts off of for the Dodge. And that came out of a Chrysler. Cup holder, bought that at O'Reilly. I think it's all locked up. Oh, there is a battery in it. Just not hooked up. Well, what do you say we hook it up? There's positive. Negative. There's a couple of headliners rolled up in there. Neither one of them are really any good, but they're good enough for a pattern. Or I could probably cut one of them up and use it to kind of fix a couple bad spots on the one that's better. These are leather seats out of a Blazer, I think. I painted them black, but it really didn't hold up very well. Especially in the vinyl, it just like peeled off immediately. Look at that. Don't know why. Okay. Let's see if she will start. A big old ugly knob. I'm gonna probably get rid of that because it's just stupid looking.
进入蓝牙，等待连接。
You guys probably recall my. They all seem to make that noise. Okay. Probably gonna have to
进入蓝牙，
pump.
等待连接。
Oh, I guess I didn't run it through the switch.
进入蓝牙，等待连接。
At least I've got gas.
进入蓝牙，
I don't think it's gonna
进入蓝牙，
go.
进入蓝牙，进入蓝牙，
There
等待
it goes.
连接。
All right. There we are. Hey, look at that. The light's working. Yep, so this is Cricket number 1. Plans for this car, well, they're kind of fluid at the moment. It's really in pretty bad shape. So this car, being that it's an English car and it's got 500,000 miles on it, there's a lot of metal fatigue. I can take you around and kind of show you some of the stuff. It's dark in here and you probably can't see it. But just in places like up here in the corners of the door, there's little cracks coming off the corners on both sides. There's a crack back there. There's some cracks up under the hood where the inner fender meets the firewall. A lot of fatigue. And part of the problem is this. I was reading some of the English TSMs, and Chrysler said do not put a sunroof in one of these cars because the chassis needs all that strength. And, you know, of course I didn't know that, and that's one of the worst mistakes I made anyway. It's kind of nice to be able to open it when you park the car, but having the sun come through to shine it on your face is not fun. So, one of the things I have toyed with, but I don't know that my skill set and equipment is at that level, is turning this car into a station wagon. I've wanted a station wagon Cricket forever. I would give all of them for a wagon in good shape. Now, that being said, I've got a Pinto wagon. I've got a 71 Corolla wagon. I've got a 75 Colt wagon. And I thought I had another thing. But anyway, So far the Colt is the closest to fitting. So I might put the Colt roof and tailgate on the Cricket. I don't know. It's a thought. It's either that or I'm going to fill in this hole, fix the cracks, and run it, or I'm going to turn this one into a parts car just because it's so tired. And I'm sure she'd like to rest. But that's it on the Cricket #1 intro. Okay, as promised, that is a Yugo dashboard. You can still see kind of the logo there. They didn't have a glove box on them. It's plastic and it fits, more or less, in the hole. We've actually got a Yugo gauge cluster right there, which doesn't work at all with the car system. This is another gauge cluster. Yep. See, that'll actually sit up there, kind of close.